Let me get some out of the fridge.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the very first, the inaugural NXT Recap show right here on Fightful.com. FightfulSelect.com. I'm Mr. Warren Hayes, and just as I was telling Alex, hey, let's get this one going, he says, hey, hang on a second, I gotta grab something.
Yeah.
Like the very instant where I said, let's do this.
Yep.
But yes, I'm joined by Alex Pulowski. We're going to be talking about the very first NXT tonight on right here on the YouTube channel. Sean is busy. He's going to be hanging out with Triple H on the media call that Triple H is doing after NXT that just concluded. And if you want more great stuff from Sean and everyone else at Fightful, you head on over to Fightful.com. If this is the first time you're watching, this is the first time that you're aware of Fightful, well, there's a whole bunch of fantastic news that you can pick up there. It's the number one source for wrestling news, if we're being completely honest with each other. Plus, there's some exclusives. There's some great stuff. Alex has a bunch of Sean has a bunch of interviews out there on Fightful. He recently put up his interview that he did with Big E. We have Kristen Ashley, who has an exclusive interview with Thunder Rosa / Serpentine, which is a great read. There's some fantastic notes from that as well. There's a whole bunch of exclusive there. Go check it out. Check out Fightful Select as well. I've migrated from behind the paywall, Alex. I'm now here on the main roster on Wednesday nights.
We're on the main roster.
We're on the main roster. This is the first of something that you and I are going to be participating in with Sean in the future. As I said, Sean can't be here tonight. He was very disappointed about that, but you know, someone has to pick up those sweet Triple H quotes. Might as well be the boss man. So we're going to be holding down the fort. We're going to be talking about NXT for the next couple of weeks, right up until AEW starts. Then we're going to be doing a literal Wednesday Night Wars recap, talking about AEW and NXT right here. But we got the very first NXT, the first live edition, 1 hour on USA, the other hour over on the network. And boy, I don't know what you thought, Alex, but it didn't feel all that different to me.
From regular NXT? Oh, no.
I mean, like production-wise and wrestling content from regular NXT, yes.
We were all worried, oh my God, how much is Vince going to have to do with this? Are they going to start the first episode of NXT with a promo parade where one guy comes out and says, I'm the best, and the next guy comes out and says, no, I'm the best. They do it for like 7 times in the first 35 minutes of the first episode of NXT on USA is just a promo parade, and then they go, actually, you're all going to have a 10-man tag match, and that match starts right now, but actually after the commercial. None of that happened. It's glorious. Today is National Cheeseburger Day. It's a national Cheeseburger Day miracle, Warren Hayes. NXT is staying the same, at least for now. Like it's just 2 hours of more balls to the wall, awesome wrestling. Like we'll see how much more they get into like storyline development and promos and stuff. But for right now, it felt like a supersized episode of NXT, and awesome because they were announcements and match results that we didn't know ahead of time. So I love this whole live thing. It makes it so much better. People are used to me coming on and reviewing Raw and SmackDown and just complaining about terrible writing and stuff. And it's really easy to not complain about terrible writing if there's no writing and just awesome graps.
That is true. Not much. And you know, as part of this package that I felt wasn't all that different from when we usually get in Full Sail, aside from no longer actually there being a stage, like a very high rise at under the Titantron, which seems to me was a lot bigger as well. Right. I mean, I no ramp, no real ramp per se. It felt very, very close. You know, you kind of felt that they wanted to get kind of like on the, dare I say, grassroots. You know, show that that NXT is more in the audience without actually having like like having the audience like in bar wrestling where everyone is like right up against the ring, but still, giving it this more intimate feel while still keeping a certain level of high production about it.
Yeah, I liked it. I didn't miss the ramp necessarily. It was fine. I mean, the stage giving it a little extra level is a it's just an aesthetics thing that more people can see the person at the top of the ramp. They know who's coming, but in a much smaller venue, that doesn't necessarily mean as much. I think they're going to be tinkering with a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know whose call that was to do that. I don't know if other people are saying, actually, no, we're going to go back to the other thing. We're going to see a lot of different things, I think, come in the next few weeks, especially next week. They're going to be tinkering, figuring out, because they want the October 2nd going up against AEW, that thing to be perfect. So they're going to figure out what works and what doesn't from tonight and next week. And then we're going to see it really start cracking.
Oh, for sure. Like, just the fact that they conceded to leaving, to not doing the full 2 hours on USA, and leaving the second hour to Suits so that the series could end. I mean, WWE just wanted to get out of the gate as soon as possible, just to create the habit, just to get out there before AEW. And like you said, tinker with all these little production details. One thing that I liked how this started was Triple H basically in a darkened room. We're seeing a lot of those recently, but turns out he was just in gorilla position where he was talking over some dramatic cuts of NXT footage. And you know what I liked, Alex? Because I was kind of expecting something very self-congratulatory, a lot of patting on the back, Triple H hitting the ring and doing the "We Are NXT" spiel to the audience. But no, this was just fine.
Yeah, no, it was the right level of it. I mean, I think that they recognize that there are people watching this on USA who never got the network, who are seeing this for the first time. Hey, oh, that's right. Didn't I read about that? Triple H is in charge of this? Oh, that's cool. That's a face I recognize. I mean, I remember him from the Attitude Era and his 35-minute matches at WrestleManias. I know this guy. It's a little bit of familiarity that they want to hit, and I think that works. And you're right. He could have easily been like, "This is me. I run this. I'm the game, and you play the game the right way." He didn't do any of that.
He didn't do any of that. And speaking of familiarity, starting with Mauro Ranallo center stage completely alone. Like, if you're a fight fan and a UFC fan, you see Mauro Ranallo, there's another face as well that you recognize. Bunch of faces that you didn't recognize maybe if you weren't familiar with the product, but that you damn well will be. Was the opening match that we had where Candice LeRae defeated Io Shirai, Bianca Belair, and Mia Yim to become the #1 contender for the NXT Women's Championship. This one was fantastic, and I don't think you could have had a better match to kick this one off. Candice went right after Shirai as the bell rang. They paired off. Belair and Yim rolled out to the outside. Candice tossed Io to the outside, went for a dive, but Belair cut her off and slammed her down. She hit a handspring moonsault, which also knocked Shirai off the apron. Mia gets a guillotine on Belair, but Belair reverses it into a suplex, which was really nice. Shirai goes for a springboard missile drop kick on Belair that connected really, really well. And there's a lot of pin attempts being broken up by every woman, just back and forth, back and forth. The pace was fast, Alex, and there were a lot of power moves happening at this stage of the match.
Yeah, everything from the very beginning of the match. I would go over the entrances. Like, the entrances were all great too. Like, and it was one of those things. Exactly. If you don't watch NXT and you're tuning in, let's see what this is. Oh, the women are starting. Oh, it's the #1 contenders match, which means there's a champion that we're not watching right now, and these 4 women, at the very least, are in the top of this division, if they're not the next 4. And so let's be introduced to them. And Io Shirai comes out, and she's this dark anime character, and it's really interesting. She's completely immediately compelling, and immediately after that is Bianca Belair, who's just oozing charisma from every pore, and like she's absolutely she has the it factor. People see her for the first time, they're like, "Who's that?" Mia Yim, again, totally unique, this very interesting character, and then Candice LeRae comes out, and you immediately know, oh, that's who I'm supposed to be rooting for. Like she's just super bubbly and vivacious, and it's all great. Then the match starts, and you immediately see, oh, Candice hates Io. Like even if you've never watched any of their matches before, you know that from the very beginning, and then everything we're off to the races. Everything from the start of the match until the first commercial break was hot as balls, and those balls had been dunked in magma, and then those magma-coated balls were put in the microwave on high for 5 full minutes. They were scorching. That's how hot the balls were, and I'm comparing those balls to the beginning of this match. That match was fire. Everything was so fast-paced. People hitting power moves, people breaking up stuff. I love how the pairing switched, and it was just, I want to win this match. Was the driving force between all 4 women. I loved it.
I think that's the most interesting analogy I've ever heard being used for a women's match. They all went after each other, been on the floor. Candice hit a face crusher on Io on the apron, and then Bianca grabbed her from behind, her being Candice, hit a follow-away slam onto the floor. Then Mia Yim did a suicide dive that took Bianca out, and then Shirai hit the moonsault to the floor. And then we went to commercial, Alex. Now, if there's one thing that stunned me here, and I was like, wait a second, our matches are being interrupted by commercials, Alex.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, which is I know that to me, and it's stupid that it feels this way, but it feels like that makes it more important. Like, it's just like NXT's always felt like it felt different. It felt different from the other 2 brands because there are no commercials. It's on the network. Not everybody gets to watch it if they don't have a network. Now it feels like, oh no, this is a 3rd brand. It's on the same network as one of them, and the commercials are going to happen, and that makes it feel more on an equal playing field. The only problem I have with it is the entire match. Come back from the break, and as Sean Ross Sapp says, another Tower of Doom spot and another dove cries.
Exactly. My heart broke a little. However, They did quickly move into another fantastic sequence where we had Mia Yim hit a code blue. We had Belair spearing both Shirai and Yim.
That was great.
And she eventually does hit the KOD on LeRae, but Yim breaks up the pin. She hits protect your neck. But it all comes to an end when Candice hits the Poison Rana and the Lion Salt on Mia Yim for the win. I mean, I thought this match was fantastic, and as you pointed out with your with your flaming analogy, it was a fantastic match throughout. But I'm a Candice LeRae stan, so I admitted I'm super biased here. I am giddy that she won the match. First match on the live show. She gets the win. She's going to face Shayna Baszler in 2 weeks, they've announced. But, man, Bianca Belair was the MVP of this match. She was so good throughout.
Yeah, immediately, the first thing she does is Gorilla Press Slam Candice LeRae. And you go, oh, this chick is something else. Like she does stuff that you don't see anybody else do. It's amazing. And the thing is this so does Io Shirai. She does all these amazing stuff. These women are all great. I love Candice LeRae, and I think I like her the 3rd most of the people in this match. And I also really like Mia Yim, and she's my 4th. But I mean, Bianca Belair, I've said I think she's the future women's wrestling. But they got to pull the trigger on her soon because she's 30. So, but I love that Candice won this match because she spent a year in Mrs. Gargano purgatory.
Yeah.
And now she gets to be a wrestler, and they're finally letting Candice LeRae, who by a lot of people's accounts, when she showed up, at the moment she showed up in NXT, was widely regarded as one of the top 5 women's wrestlers in the world. and then they said, "You're not going to wrestle. Your whole character is Johnny Gargano's wife." And that must have been frustrating for her for a while. And now she finally gets to have her moment in the sun, and I'm happy about that.
Well, it was frustrating for us stans as well, but she did have a standoff with the Shayna Baszler and the horsewomen at the end of the match. If you guys are not familiar with Candice LeRae outside of NXT, she is one of the toughest people who has ever been in a wrestling ring. And I am looking forward to our match in a couple of weeks against Baszler. We get a hype package for Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic, who apparently are going to go at it again next week on the USA Network Hour, nonetheless. So that's fantastic. Plus, we get a hype package for Killian Dane and Matt Riddle a little later on in the evening. And by the way, folks, if you want to leave us a super chat in the chat, we will leave any donation in any level of donation, and we will read your question or statement on air. Aaron J's fan says, "Why not one day have Triple H wrestle on NXT?" Do we even need that, Alex?
Well, we certainly don't need it. I would be down for like a certain type of character in NXT who challenges Triple H and says, "Listen, old man, you think you run things around here, you know, because he can't do it with Regal. You can't do it with Regal anymore. No. So I think you could do it with Triple H. But the problem is that whoever is the person who challenged Triple H has to win that match, because you can't put Paul over the young guy. You shouldn't. But that young guy would probably be the heel, since he'd be the one calling out, you know, the Godfather of NXT.
Exactly.
So it would be a really weird feud to do. I think there's a condition for how it could work, but I don't know that I'm clamoring for it in any way.
Next, we had Cameron Grimes, formerly known as Trevor Lee, versus Sean Maluda. And, you know, they call him a country boy. They say he's a savage, you know, and so on and so forth. But I find that for a guy who likes the dirt and the sweat and the grime, he uses a lot of conditioner, Alex. And as I was writing that very, very witty quip in my show notes, the match was over, Alex.
Yeah.
He basically hit his double stomp to the chest finisher, which didn't quite entirely land either.
Nope, it didn't.
To end Sean Maluda tonight. I'm going to tell you one thing. There's someone up there in NXT who really likes Cameron Grimes, first and foremost, because as one of the guys who went through the breakout tournament, he's one of those who has had the most television time since. He's among them. He's featured right there on the first hour as well. He's put there on live TV, and I'm okay with that. And I'm also okay with him going over like this. If NXT is going to create new stars and is going to bring new faces to television and wrestling, well, you're going to have matches like this where you're going to have these guys just go in, do squash matches. It was a regular thing on NXT anyway. I was okay with this. Yeah.
No, it's really important that he's featured prominently. I mean, he's got a brand new hat and a vest. So you gotta show off the hat and the vest. It's like a cowboy hat on the sides and like a little teeny top hat on the top. I think Stevie Ray Vaughan wore a hat like that in a couple of videos.
Yeah.
The vest is nice too, though it must get really, really sweaty. The lining, you got to change the lining out a lot. Now, I like Trevor Lee, you know, back in the day. Cameron Grimes, I'm not necessarily sold on yet, because I don't know really what his character is, except for like he likes to say Cameron Grimes wants to do this and Cameron Grimes wants to do that. So he's the third person dude, which is fine. A lot of people are third person people. And I'm fine with him going over here because it was fast. It was like, here's this person you might not have seen before. We have plans for him. I think he's talented enough in the ring to get those plans over. We'll see. I do think it's kind of funny that when Sean Maluda came out, I was like, oh, wow, Sean Maluda. Like, that's going to be a trivia question in 10 years. Who was the first, who was the first loser of the first male match on NXT on USA, Sean Maluda. File that away in the back of your brains, everybody. You're going to win bar trivia with that in 10 years.
Andrew Thomason left us a super chat. He says, "Am I the only one disappointed that Rhea Ripley shows up and instantly excites us by challenging Baszler, but then just goes away after a week?" I wouldn't say going away like
she's featured heavily in the opening montage thing.
Exactly.
So she's here. She wasn't on TV tonight. You know who else wasn't? Like the star of NXT the past few years, Johnny Gargano, wasn't on the first episode on USA or the following hour.
And Adam Cole was a supporting player tonight. Right. Your champion.
Yeah, so there are people. I think Rhea Ripley is going to feature heavily in the months going forward. I think she's a huge star in the making. She's super young and so talented. She's got a really bright future. They're not shipping her back off to Blackpool or wherever. She's going to stick around and do some Wednesday Night Live stuff.
We had a great promo package from Velveteen Dream. The ones where they have these semi-cheesy visuals, semi-cheesy psychedelic visuals, which I thought was a nice touch to help the audience that wasn't maybe aware of him get to know him a little bit. We also get a Damian Priest package. Apparently, he likes riding limos and hanging out with the ladies, Alex.
No, really?
Apparently.
A rock star character likes to live the good life? You're kidding. I still feel like Damian Priest is the most generic pull a name out of a hat you could do for rock star character. But okay, I actually really love what he's been doing in the ring, and that's fine. It really does feel like somebody did Mad Libs to come up with Damian Priest. He's a rock star. But like we'll see. I'm sure by the time he gets to the main roster, he'll just be Damian.
Oh, probably. Or Priest. You never know.
Or Priest. You never know.
Roderick Strong defeated Velveteen Dream to become the North American champion, Alexander Pulowski. There's a lot of back and forth that happened here during the initial opening of this match until Dream dumped Strong out of the ring, and we cut to commercial. There wasn't much happening anyway, and when we come back, Dream is basically screwing with Strong's head with some head games. He hits a top rope double axe handle to the floor, but Strong drives Dream against the barricades. He starts working the back, hits a really nice wrecking ball drop kick on the Velveteen Dream as well, delivers some of those patented Roderick Strong chops. Talk a lot about Walters, but man, you got to talk about the ones that reduced Daniel Bryan's chest to pudding in that battle royal in Saudi Arabia last year. And then it feels like there was a bit of miscommunication. Strong tried to get a body scissors on Dream, but Dream sort of didn't let it happen. He sort of fought out of it, but not like in the dramatic wrestling sense. It was sort of like, no, we're not doing this. They roll back to the mat, and Strong tries to get a crucifix on, and then rolls into some sort of odd, like butterfly kind of hold, and I don't know. This was one part. There were a couple of other moments in this match, Alex, that I thought they weren't exactly on the same page. I don't know if you felt that.
Yeah, I mean, it was methodical. It did feel very much like, all right, here's the main event of our first show on USA. Let's show them that wrestling lasts a long time. And I mean, I'm not. Listen, great long matches, I'm all here for. I also love great sprints and great 17.5-minute matches. It all depends on if the match is great. I didn't think this was great. That was good. Mm-hmm. It was good. And I thought I was watching it. I'll have to probably go back and watch it again, knowing where they're headed within the match. Because I went in going, Velveteen Dream is absolutely a superstar. Like you have somebody who watches wrestling but hasn't seen him before goes, damn, who's that? That guy's a star. So you want to put him in a prominent position on the first night on USA. Taking the title off him in any other setting, I would say makes perfect sense. because they want to do the Adam Cole's prophecy comes true. All of the Undisputed Era is dripping with gold, as he says. And that makes sense. On the first night on USA, I was like, oh, wow. They really wanted to create the intrigue. Like, you were rooting for Dream this whole time, so now you'll tune in next week to see if he gets a shot at getting his title back, as opposed to the crowd, which was ape for Velveteen Dream. Like, they loved him. That kick out of the first End of Heartache, like the crowd lost their mind. Like, they were so happy that at that moment there was like, there's no way he can lose now. And like, then he lost.
Well, I mean, the crowd was into this really towards the last third of the match. Strong started getting in some knee strikes and a fantastic V trigger on Dream, and the crowd actually started chanting, "This is wrestling." He hits a backbreaker and a tiger bomb, and Dream eventually rolls out of the stronghold. The crowd is going absolutely nuts at this point. And then the Undisputed Era arrive. They surround the ring. Dream starts mounting his comeback. There's a ref bump. Dream hits the Dream Valley Driver. He fights off the lads. And Roderick Strong hits, as you said, that first End of Heartache. But Dream kicks out. Full Sail goes ballistic.
Yep.
He hits the Dream Valley Driver again. He goes up top. Adam Cole super kicks him in the chin. And the second End of Heartache puts it away. As you said, this wasn't a great match. It was good. I think the final segment was hot. But I also do believe that Full Sail made this hotter.
Yeah, they did.
Full Sail, let's be honest, tonight was the supporting character that NXT on its first night needed. They were into it.
Yeah, they loved being there for this. Like, you could tell it was like, because so many of those people are regulars. They're at every one of the tapings. Those tapings happen once every several months at this point. So I don't know if those people can afford to show up every week, but if they can, they're gonna, because those people love them from NXT. I mean, yeah, I think that was so cool that it felt like there was a palpable air while watching on TV that these people were all celebrating something together.
Yeah. Like,
we did this. We were a part of this. And I mean, a lot of people think that Full Sail just tries to get themselves over. I've never really felt that way. I feel like they're getting everybody like in the ring over. And I love that Full Sail can be divided in a straight up super heel versus super babyface match. Like, if you like the people who are there who are unironically supporting Adam Cole, who is as dastardly as they come, because they really respect his character work and his in-ring work, as opposed to, that's the heel, so I'm supposed to boo him. Boo, heel! Like, those people don't stand for that. Listen, I support who I support, and there are people who are like, nah, screw Adam Cole. I love this guy. I'm going to support him. And it's great that some nights it's 50-50, some nights it's 65-35, depending on who's in the ring doing what. And I love that there's that kind of energy about Full Sail. And we'll see where this goes. Like, I don't know if NXT in a year or two is touring and doing every Wednesday, like on the road. Like, we have no idea where this is going to go. But for now, Full Sail is absolutely a character in an NXT episode.
Absolutely. If we circle back to the match for a quick second, Alex, very happy that Roderick Strong got finally touches some gold. I'm really, really happy that they're going with the storyline with Undisputed Era having all the gold. But, you know, my prediction was that you don't have Velveteen Dream drop the title on the first night, especially since Dream is, a star in the making. Yeah. Maybe not the way I would have booked it, Alex.
Well, this is the thing. Dream was kind of a meteor shooting through the sky. And he wound up being the champion. But he never really chased. He was just this personality who got a title match and won it. As opposed to, I want to win the title from you. I don't like you. So he's not... Yeah, we haven't seen Velveteen Dream as babyface chasing a title that was stolen from him by cheating heels. Like, that's a trope in wrestling that's existed forever, and I'm wondering to see like where Velveteen Dream comes, because I love the idea where he goes for this, because he's usually just been this guy who's just larger than life, and he says outlandish things. Sometimes he's heelish toward people, but we love him anyway. Like, I wonder where this whole thing goes, and it might be somebody testing him to see, we know you can do this thing you've been doing for a couple of years. Now let's see where you can do if we slot you into a different role, the role of babyface fighting from underneath, as opposed to the guy with all the confidence in the world.
Right.
So I'm here for it. Let's see.
Peter Dunne was on the show tonight. He defeated Arturo Ruas. Ruas got this one going really quickly, hit a flying scissors takedown into an armbar, which was really cool. But then Dunne immediately reverses with an armbar of his own. So we were all like, and even Nigel, I think, said, "Oh, we're in for it." No, I think it was Morrow who said, "Oh, we're in for a technical show." But then they start just slugging at each other. They're like, "Nope, not necessarily. This could also be a fight," and I like that. They run the ropes, and Dunne lariats the hell out of Ruas. He just downed him. We get some classic Pete Dunne joint manipulation, but Ruas gets a wrist lock of his own and nails some kicks. But Dunne gets back to his feet, fights him off with some open palm strikes. Dunne blocks a kick and starts twisting the toes of Arturo Ruas, who wrestles barefoot, which I was actually expecting, and I was happy to see it. Followed by a dragon screw leg whip to take him down. Dunne hits some of his classic offense, hits an X-Plex. Ruas cartwheels out of a triangle, follows it up with a kick to Dunne's head, and then hits a German suplex with the bridge. Dunne then twists the arm into an arm bar and then sort of bends back, snaps the pinky finger in the index, then twists the arm down for the submission win. This is different than what he usually does, or what he's recently been doing, where he sort of just snaps the fingers and then it's like, oh, it's a submission because he broke the guy's fingers or whatever. He tore at the webbing between his... And I've hated that finisher. I've hated it to pieces. It's like, bring back the bitter end, and I still don't know why the bitter end isn't his finisher. It still works, but this was fine. This was your typical NXT squash match where you have the star, where you have another guy, and you know who's going to win, but the other guy does get some decent offense in and looks good.
Yeah.
Ruas has come a long way, man.
Yeah.
He's had so much, his background is legit. Everything that they put over as far as his martial arts expertise goes. When I saw him got into a match with Dunne, I'm like, wow, okay, this is something that could actually really be good. Let's revisit this in a year. Let's get Russ versus Dunne in another year and see where this goes, because I think they have very compatible styles. They could have a lot of fun with each other.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I don't know what his ceiling is, but I'm not as high on Ruas as you are. But I do think I like that he's basically a Street Fighter character. Like he's the Brazilian in the karate pants with his hands taped, and you're like, when you see him in the movie, like, oh no, the hero's gonna have a tough time with that guy, and he does, but then he beats him up, and then he moves on to the next guy. But that's basically what I've always thought of him as. He feels like it's like a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie where Van Damme has to fight somebody from every country, right, and he's the Brazilian that he fights. I don't know. That's why.
That's exactly it. No, I'm laughing because you're absolutely right.
But anyway, but Pete Dunne, yeah, I love Pete Dunne. I've been on record that I've said if he was 6'4", he'd be the biggest star in wrestling. Mm-hmm. I mean, like he's just this thing where like people like, no, he's too short, whatever. He's not big enough. Like, I think he's such like quiet, charismatic confidence. Yeah. Like, mm-hmm. I'm going to tear your fingers off and I'm going to feed them to you. But he does it in this wonderful growly, like North England accent. So it's just fantastic. But yeah, I also didn't love the finger snap. But I look at it as I looked at Pentagon's arm snap. Like, once he breaks your arm, there's no need for him to keep yanking on it. Like, he broke your arm. You lost. Like, when he breaks somebody's fingers and they say, no, I don't want to fight anymore. He broke my finger. Like, I feel like that should be also a way to tap out, as opposed to, like, working the ligament for so long that it stretches to the point where you don't want to fight. Okay, if he breaks my finger, I'm tapping. But I did like this as kind of like he put on it and then he kind of got more leverage and pushed down even harder, and that was what caused him to tap. I think you can work with it. I don't think that he needs to be finishing people with this. I think there's a way to like just make people not be able to use that hand anymore. Like, if somebody likes to punch with their right hand, if he breaks two of the guy's fingers in the middle of the match and he can't throw that right anymore, well, now you got something to work with, and he can finish people with the bitter end. I don't think he needs to be finishing people with that match. But I do love Pete Dunne. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does on the NXT mainland roster as opposed to NXT UK. The world is that kid's oyster.
Next, we had Denzel DeJournette come to the ring. Now, even as an avid NXT viewer, it didn't quite ring a bell, Alex. But you know what? Do you know? I did a little research, of course.
Oh,
yeah? Yeah, because this is what we do here on Fightful. We don't come unprepared.
Oh.
Are you kidding me? Do you know, Alex, when Denzel DeJournette debuted in NXT and in what circumstance?
Please tell me.
He debuted in 2018 at a live show in Orlando. He was in a North American title #1 contendership Halloween costume battle royal, Alex.
Oh, good. What did he go as?
Yeah, I don't know though. But in the battle,
that's your research.
Well, you see,
got to figure out what costume he wore. Otherwise, like,
I reached out to many sources. No one could confirm it. Look, it's somewhere between Popeye, and a sheet ghost.
Okay.
So we're running the gamut here. I think I'm being fed bad info. But in this battle royal, there was Angelo Dawkins, Babatunde, Drake Maverick, EC3, Jackson Riker, Cassius Ohno, Keith Lee, Matt Riddle, Montez Ford, Otis Dozovich, Nick Miller, and you know who won? Stacy Irvin Jr., Alex.
Oh, yeah. I heard really good things about that guy, and then he left, right?
Exactly. So, but basically, DeJournette hits the ring, and I think as Ross Sapp pointed out, he came out to a theme song that Malcolm Bivens would love to have as his own. And he comes to the ring, but next thing we know, my boys, Fabian Eichner, Marcel Bartel, and Alexander Wolf come around the ring. What are they doing? It's Imperium, NXT UK. What are they doing here? They hit the ring. They start beating up on DeJournette until the man arrives. Walter, the NXT UK champion. And they just beat the hell out of him, Alex.
Yep.
They get on them. Walter gets the mic and he says that he wants to protect the integrity of the sport, and anyone who disrespects the mat will have to answer to them. This is basically their gimmick over in NXT UK, in case you guys don't watch the European brand. DeJournette was supposed to fight Kushida, but Kushida, he's not backing off. He has a microphone. And I was like, oh boy. Oh, this is a powder keg if I ever saw one, but it worked out pretty well. He had the mic. He basically said, this is my time. And essentially fought off Imperium, kicked Walter in the head, and challenged Walter for the NXT UK Championship, Alex. What the hell's going on?
When you woke up this morning, Warren Hayes, and all of you watching and listening, you didn't know that you needed a Kushida versus Walter match in your life. You had no idea. You had no inkling such a thing could be possible. And now all of you, me and you, Warren Hayes, are like, oh my God, take my money. Take all of my money. I want to see that right now. Can you make it a best of 7? Like, because those are two amazing competitors, and you don't think they run in the same circles that it would even be possible. What I love about this now is it opens up all kinds of possibilities. WWE has the deepest roster ever. And they're like, if anybody who's on NXT UK can fight anybody who's on NXT, who can fight anybody who's on 205 Live, all of a sudden, anything's possible. Like, and this might be the most anything's possible that it could be. Like, I'm so into whatever this is going to wind up being. But this is great. I did kind of want Alexander Wolf to pass Killian Dane in the hall and just do a little, hey, sup, how's it going?
Did you hear anything from Young?
What's Eric doing? Is Eric okay? Hey, I heard Nikki's team with Alexa Bliss now. That's weird, right? Anyway, see you later. Like, just because they broke up those guys so unceremoniously, shipped one back off to Europe, and the other one's like, now I don't wear weird clothes now. I wear jeans now. It's weird, right?
Right.
But I still have a hairy back. Anyway, it's just a weird thing. I love when old people who used to team together meet up and go like, hi, and then they walk away. I think that's a really cool thing.
Now, I want to talk about, NXT, including a lot of NXT UK this evening, but I think we're going to unpack this with this next match here. And there's a lot to unpack here, Alex, in this next match here. And we're going to try and go at it morsel by morsel. Lio Rush!
Yep.
Return to the ring, a WWE ring in NXT tonight to defeat my boy Oney Lorcan to become the #1 contender for the WWE Cruiserweight Championship. Now, okay, one thing at a time. As Sean pointed out on Twitter, he's with us in spirit.
Right.
We've been hearing for weeks now from people saying, Lio Rush is never going to be in a WWE ring ever again. He's never going back. They're never going to want that boy back. It's done, finished. He's gone. But, as Sean pointed out, there is absolutely no way that WWE would leave Lio Rush, a guy of his level of talent.
Oh my God.
And I mean talent. Physical, mic. Jesus, Alex. His soul throwback song that he released, last week? It's good. It's good. We're not talking about Enzo Amore putting out a diss track. This was legitimately good. Yep. This guy can do anything. There was absolutely no way in hell that that WWE is going to leave Lio Rush go out. And quite honestly, we had heard rumblings that there was going to be a surprise. This was a nice surprise, tailor-made for the wrestling audience that loves wrestlers, that knows wrestling. This was perfect. A beautiful surprise.
This was wonderful. Like, I missed Lio Rush, especially in the ring. Like, I didn't love him as Bobby's hype man. I thought it was really unfortunate that when he was doing stuff on the main roster, they would allow him to evade Bobby's opponent, but never make contact with any kind of offense. And then they gave him a few matches on Raw, but they were all forgettable and made him look like he was just tiny and didn't belong there. He's insanely talented in the ring. And you're right. Vince isn't stupid. Hunter's not stupid. They even if this guy's he has attitude problems. Let's say he cures those attitude problems wherever else he goes, because the work environment is different. Like, not saying it's bad in WWE, although it might be, but it's different somewhere else, and it's just more amenable to him, and he's able to be happier, and he's not causing problems backstage. So he's a joy to work with elsewhere, and they like this. They like him, and they say, "Wow, you're insanely talented. We're going to build a brand around you." And all of a sudden, you don't miss whatever the hell he's doing, because he's awesome. And so, let's give him a run. Let's Let's figure out what we can do to him, because we can't afford for him to go anywhere else. And he's just great. And he showed that tonight, because he's been heelish since before I can remember on NXT programming. And now he got to fight from underneath against, a bigger dude in Lorcan. Pretty much anybody he fights is going to be a bigger dude. I think Hornswoggle probably outweighs him by 5 pounds. Like, so I think that this was really, really great. Got a chance for him to do some great work. Lorcan as well, but just him on the graphic. It says Cruiserweight Championship #1 contenders match, which I didn't know was happening tonight. Regardless who was in it, it's like Oney Lorcan versus Lio Rush, and I was like, what? That's awesome. Except for the part that WWE, I think, is trying to make us believe that what has been going on with him hasn't been going on, because they actually had Beth Phoenix say, NXT's resident daredevil. I'm like, honey, Lio Rush ain't been NXT's resident anything in a long time. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's be honest here.
Hasn't been anything in WWE for a while. So that was a good surprise. Now, we've also been hearing talk about we've been hearing rumors for weeks now that 205 Live might be absorbed into NXT, and then Triple H talking in interviews in very vague language, saying, that he alluded to the fact that the Cruiserweight title would make sense under NXT, not outright saying, hey, NXT, we're tossing that to the curb. But look at what we got here tonight. We had a #1 contenders match for the Cruiserweight title. We've seen 205 Live NXT crossover before, so it's not shocking. It's not something where it's like, oh my goodness, it's really the end. But in the context of the talk that we've been hearing, plus Alex, you and I, we're 205 Live listeners, dare I say, fans.
Yeah.
We've been saying for a long, long time that one of the solutions to making the brand feel special would be to put them in Full Sail. To have them be part of the NXT tapings, tape your 205 Live stuff there, your Cruiserweight stuff there, keep the brand, but at least the Full Sail audience will appreciate it amongst the other solutions that we had, of course. But this is one of them. Is our own prophecy, Alex, is it coming to fruition?
I don't know. I don't. I mean, I guess you could have them go on Friday nights at 10 after SmackDown. They're on the network, or the way the 205 Live slot. But instead of Tuesdays, it would be Fridays. I mean, that's the way you would do 205.
And I mean, at 10 p.m. on the network on a Friday night.
Right. I mean, you're certainly never going to get live viewers. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of people who don't watch it live, who watch it later in the week or whatever, and that's fine. Also, I mean, it's a Friday, so it's not a school night. So maybe people with kids would be more apt to stay later at the SmackDown show. I don't know. I mean, I don't think that's the answer. I'm trying to figure out, like, playing devil's advocate, why they wouldn't just absorb it into NXT instead of keeping it as its own thing. I think you could easily have a 205 Live like special every now and then where it's like just the 205 guys. But so many of the guys who are in NXT anyway fit that weight class. Just all of a sudden, the roster opens up considerably. Like, we've already seen a couple of guys show up and challenge Drew Gulak. Swerve Strickland was excellent in that match he had with him. So there's all kinds of, and also 205 Live guys then will get to challenge for NXT stuff.
Exactly.
Because I want to see Jack Gallagher versus Adam Cole in a one-off match that Adam Cole wins. I don't care if he wins, but just give me that match. I want to see Jack Gallagher tie Adam Cole up in knots and Adam Cole react to it.
Yeah.
Just give me that for 9 minutes. Just once. That's all I need. But there's all kinds of things you can do when you have both brands together. We'll see. But I do think that that's the way they should go, is in folding all of this into the NXT brand. You got 2 hours to fill live every Wednesday. Let's figure out ways of getting as many really great performers on TV every week as we can.
Lio Rush gets a welcome back chant as the match starts, and his official welcome back is some running uppercuts from Oney Lorcan and a running blockbuster as well. Lorcan, by the way, wearing purple and yellow tights. I know he's been trying to coordinate his gear with the 205 Live colors, and now he's being called back to NXT. He's got to be like, God damn! What am I gotta keep investing into the black and gold now. I sold all of those on eBay or kept them under. They're squirreled under the park bench that I sleep under. God, I love Oni Lorcan Twitter. I wish Twitter Oni Lorcan was TV Oni Lorcan. Rush hits a series of suicide dives onto Lorcan on the floor, and he was just barreling at him, and he got back up, hit the ring, hit another one. That guy is unreal. Lorcan slows everything down, like you said. This was all about Lio Rush fighting from underneath, battling his way back up to get to his big comeback. Rush fights off a power bomb. However, he's favoring the knee that Lorcan sort of worked on, which allows Lorcan to get a single leg crab that he transfers into an STF. Rush starts to fade, but he fights back. Lorcan answers back with some big, pumped up open hand palm strikes. He runs to charge Rush, but Rush counters with a Spanish fly and hits the split-legged frog splash for the win. That's a mouthful. Great match. I like this a lot. I love the pace. Oni Lorcan knew exactly what he had to do. Lio Rush looked like $1 million. I am pumped, as you said, to think of Drew Gulak defending against Lio Rush. This is going to be a good one.
What a clash of styles that's going to be.
Yep. It's going to be fantastic. When I say we, I mean I skipped over a match, and we're just going to go over it, but it's entirely my fault. It was entirely an oversight. I was really excited to talk about Denzel DeJournette, but Xia Li defeated Aliyah, who came to the ring with Vanessa Bourne, and well, you know what? This was again one of these matches where there's one star who's going to shine, and in this case it was Xia Li, who did a headstand on the top turnbuckle. Got a lot of kicks in, a shotgun drop kick, a lot of rapid offense. She sort of messes up a springboard moonsault. She missed the part where she twists basically to land on the top turnbuckle, and she recovered really well though. That could have been a disaster in and about itself. Recuperated real quickly, got some drop kicks and a series of kicks, and the rolling tornado kick got the win on Aliyah. Xia Li has been one of these who's been shining since the Mae Young Classic, and if they want to give her more and more time on TV, that's fantastic. But Aliyah, man, she's been in developmental since 1823, I think. I'm surprised they didn't put her against Vanessa Bourne, who has a lot more polish. Aliyah, man, she's dead weight.
Yeah. I mean, I like the Bourne and Aliyah pairing. I think that they do some good character work. They're a good little serviceable heel tag team. But yeah, Aliyah's not setting the world on fire. Mm-hmm. Xia Li, this to me feels like the way they do when they build a baby face slightly to give them a shot at a major heel, only for that heel to just butcher them. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if maybe Xia Li like gets a shot against Io Shirai, and that gets built for a while, and Io just says, nah, sorry, you ain't on my level. And then Io moves to the next thing. It kind of builds Io more. But Xia Li, getting to the point where we think she might have a shot at Io, we've seen her be built to that point, and then that loss then leads to something else. Dakota Kai, who's coming back, had that. She won a lot of matches, won several matches in a row, and they said, okay, now you're going to have a shot at Shayna Baszler. And Shayna Baszler destroyed her. Mm-hmm. But Dakota Kai coming back is now, like, to me, like, really interesting, because I'm like, I really loved her, watching her beat people who weren't on her level, and felt for her, pity for her when she went up against a person whose level she was not on. Like, there's a point where everybody can beat, everyone is above people and below people. Like there's only one person at the top. So anybody, like, that's the way it works. And Dakota Kai was feasting on people not as good as her. And when she came up against somebody who was several levels above her, she got destroyed. But now we get to see that climb back up to the top. I wonder if they're doing the same thing with Xia Li here.
And we will be seeing Dakota Kai in action next week. She'll be back from injury. That's the kind of stuff that makes my heart feel good.
Yes.
As opposed to the ending tonight, which was a little weird, made my heart feel a little fluttery, I guess. Matt Riddle and Killian Dane went to a no contest, I guess, in a street fight. How does that happen? I have no clue, but that's pretty much what happened. They started fighting in the ring. Riddle hit some of his power moves from the start, a German and an exploder, but Dane got in control. They brawled out onto the floor, backstage, outside. Riddle got tossed onto a semi-truck. And then the whole locker room got involved, Alex. It's Walter who started taking shots at Riddle. Here's another match that you'd like, FYI. But let's move along. Imperium start taking out Riddle. The Street Profits arrives. The Forgotten Sons. It's a schmoz, Alex. It's a good old-fashioned schmoz.
Yep. I made the joke earlier that, with this ending, I wonder if NXT might be the Monday Nitro of this Wednesday Night War. Like, all it needed was Mauro Ranallo to end it with, "The tape machines are rolling. We'll see you next week." Like, that's all we needed. Because we'll tell you what happened. Because who knows? But, we're out of time. Sorry. Except they weren't out of time.
We'll talk about it on WWE.com.
They called Mean Gene and asked him questions about it. Yeah, call the hotline. But they weren't out of time. They had 7 minutes left. Like 6-7 minutes left. And so they went to it. Apparently after that, after they went away, after this whole brawl thing happened, but by the way, eventually you got to have a full-on payoff. Killian Dane versus Matt Riddle's got to have a blow-off match.
Man.
You can't keep putting it off forever.
No.
I really like both guys. I want to see Matt Riddle, particularly, move on to something bigger and better. I love Killian Dane, but we all know, I think, who's winning this feud. And then all these people in the back seem to have no real reason to be there. There were a bunch of people there who I had never seen before. Then there were the Street Profits, who didn't get a mention all night tonight. Pete Dunne, who's just hanging out still in his gear. Imperium's just sitting around some patio furniture, like having a tea, have a little spot of tea, and then they decide to get involved. Forgotten Sons, whatever. All of this, but apparently after they went off the air, Triple H came out onto the top of the ramp, and he was like, "Hey, Daddy's here. Everybody stop misbehaving. Everybody, they all go away." And he says, "I want to thank you, the Full Sail crowd, blah, 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 blah." They didn't show any of that on the network, but that would have made sense. The only way for all this thing to stop is if, Daddy got mad and we had to stop fighting. Like, okay, fine. But I didn't love that this was how they did. They had Morrow say, "This is how much everybody wants to be a part of NXT. That they're all fighting for no reason whatsoever." Like, okay. I mean, it wasn't like if you want to actually throw Matt Riddle, like if Killian Dane throws Matt Riddle across the table into Imperium and they get pissy, okay, fine. And if Matt Riddle shotgun drop kicks Killian Dane and the Forgotten Sons and they get upset, and all of a sudden, like, it becomes this thing, but it wasn't that. It was just like people standing around decided, well, there's a fight. I should probably get involved in that, which doesn't feel like how people I might want to risk injury, which would keep me from wrestling and earning a paycheck. Doesn't seem like how most people would actually do that. But apart from the last 4 minutes of this 2 hours, I loved almost everything else about the first NXT iteration on USA and the second hour on WWE Network. I'm really excited for where this is going and how it's going to grow and change. over the next several months, especially when they start figuring out how to program against whatever AEW is going to be, because we still don't know what that's going to be.
They're going to program against Alex? No, they wouldn't do
Nah.
that. No, there's none of that going on. It's just honest coincidence. A couple of super chats before we wrap up. Julian Weeks said, Warren, I know you love to see Oni on this. You got that right. Thank you for the super chat. And Thermostat Mine, thank you for the super chat. Am I the only person seriously turned off by the shaky cam? Has it always been this prevalent in NXT? I mean, it's prevalent everywhere in WWE.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm so impressed by the match quality. I'm not sitting back going, shoddy production work. I only do that on like during Raw matches. Yeah,
absolutely. No, actually, this was and I concur with you, Alex. This was a really good opening salvo to the Wednesday night affairs. And like we said earlier in the evening, no Adam Cole, or at least Adam Cole as a supporting player, but no spotlight on the champion, no Johnny Gargano, no Tommaso Ciampa.
Well, we'll see him soon. Like, he released a pretty awesome little "I'm coming back" video, and man, I mean, I don't know when they're gonna do Walter versus Kushida. But you could do that one week, and the next week you could do Tommaso Ciampa versus Adam Cole, and you could just inject both of those things directly into my veins.
Sure.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm not surprised, though, that we didn't get, like, the big stars, like that we didn't get much of Cole or Gargano. It makes sense that they want to stretch it out another week. And it's not as if we missed them. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love both of them. That's not the question. They're fantastic talent, but it's not. We didn't sit around saying, "Wow, we could have really used them." Nah, NXT is healthy, man. If they keep down this track here, we're gonna have great shows week after week. Just like we're gonna be having great shows week after week. We'll be back next week to keep on talking about NXT, and then when AEW starts, man. The true Wednesday Night Wars podcast is going to begin. Sean Ross Sapp going to be at the helm. Alex and I each watching our respective shows. It's going to be a good time. Alex, why don't you let the people know where to find you on social media?
You can find me at Pulowski the Fourth. The 4 is a numeral 4. I'm putting together, figuring out how I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do with my new show. That's going to be a mostly tongue-in-cheek reaction to Raw and SmackDown called Sour Graps.
It's fantastic.
Because everyone is going to miss me shitting all over Raw, and now I get to do it on my own show. So that'll be fun.
That's right. Everyone who's going to miss it, don't worry, Alex will be back.
I've gotten way too many things like, oh man, I really want you to talk about how much you hate the cuck angle. Come on, talk about how much you hate the cuck angle. Hey guys, I hate the cuck angle. So there you go.
It's on brand for you anyway. You can follow me on Twitter at Mr. Warren Hayes or on YouTube on my own personal channel at youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all very much for coming out this evening. If you haven't already, give the video a thumbs up. And hope you enjoyed NXT as much as we did tonight. Hopefully it'll go on. But in the meantime, we'll see you next week. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you next time.